What if the Roman Empire never fell? What if instead of collapsing in 476 AD, it just kept going? Right now you might be reading this in Latin while a centurion checks your tax receipts. Welcome to What If Horizons, where we explore alternate histories that make our reality look boring. First things first. The Roman Empire would be celebrating its 2000th anniversary by now. That's 2000 years of the same bureaucracy, same road maintenance issues, same senators giving long speeches about nothing. The DMV would still be terrible, but at least they'd speak classical Latin while making you wait. The imperial government would have evolved in strange ways. Imagine the current Roman Senate. Half ancient politicians in togas, half modern bureaucrats in suits, all equally corrupt. The position of emperor might have become an elected office, which sounds great until you realize we'd have campaign ads like, Tiberius Maximus, he'll build that wall across Germania again. Latin would be the world's dominant language, but not the fancy classical kind. We'd be speaking street Latin, full of slang and loanwords. That elegant Cicero prose would have devolved into texts like, BRB, gotta feed my lions, and, this chariot has terrible mileage. The military would be both ancient and modern. Legionnaires carrying assault rifles, tanks with SPQR painted on the sides. The Navy would have aircraft carriers shaped like giant triremes. And the Praetorian Guard would still be overthrowing emperors every few years, some traditions never die. Roman law would govern everything. Those 300-page terms of service agreements. Now in Latin, jury duty would involve wearing togas and voting with thumbs up or down. The death penalty might still involve crucifixion, but with more paperwork and appeals first. Technology would have developed along different paths. The Romans were great engineers but terrible at theoretical science. We might have amazing aqueducts and roads, but no electricity because nobody bothered to study that weird lightning stuff. The internet would probably just be a really fast system of message-carrying eagles. Religion would be complicated. Christianity might never have dominated, leaving us with a pantheon of gods. Your local weatherman would still blame storms on Jupiter being angry. The Vatican would be a theme park called Jesus World, where you can get baptized in a fake River Jordan. The calendar would make sense for once. No weird month names, just good old Quintilis and Sextilis. Though we'd probably be working 6-day weeks because Emperor Augustus thought weekends were for lazy people. And the entertainment. Gladiator fights would still be huge, though with better safety equipment and unionized fighters. The Super Bowl halftime show would feature actual lions. Reality TV would follow families living in authentic Roman conditions, keeping up with the Julii, or Real Housewives of Pompeii. But here's the real question. Would we be better off? Sure, no dark ages. But we might be stuck with 2,000 years of the same political system, same social hierarchies, same imperial overreach. The Roman Empire was great at conquering, terrible at changing. One thing's certain. You wouldn't be listening to this podcast. You'd be too busy attending mandatory emperor worship ceremonies or running from yet another barbarian invasion that somehow still happens every Tuesday. Daily life in the Eternal Empire would be a bizarre mix of ancient traditions and modern frustrations. Your morning commute would involve dodging chariot traffic jams on the Via Appia Expressway. The Starbucks down the street would serve authentic Roman coffee, basically wine with ground beans in it. And don't get me started on the subway system. Those underground tunnels were never meant for high-speed trains. The workplace would still operate on strict Roman hierarchies. Your boss isn't just your supervisor, he's your patronus, and you're his clients. That promotion you wanted, sorry, only available to people born into the right patrician family. And good luck filing a harassment complaint when HR's official policy is, just be glad you're not a slave. Speaking of slaves, that whole institution would have evolved in uncomfortable ways. Instead of outright slavery, we'd have indentured servitude contracts that basically amount to the same thing. The tech industry would run on apprentices, working 90-hour weeks for the chance to maybe become citizens after a decade. Education would be a nightmare. School days start before dawn because that's how Cicero did it. The curriculum focuses on rhetoric, geometry, and mandatory emperor worship. Forget STEM. The only science that matters is figuring out which sacrifices make the gods give you good harvests. Healthcare would combine the worst of ancient and modern medicine. Your doctor might prescribe antibiotics alongside a nice bloodletting to balance your humors. The waiting room has separate sections for citizens and non-citizens. And good luck getting that Legionnaire's knee injury covered by Imperial insurance. The justice system would be brutally efficient. Trials are short. You're guilty until proven innocent, and the proof better come fast. Prisons are just work camps where you build more roads. And capital punishment still happens in public because nothing says, don't commit crimes, like watching someone get fed to lions during your lunch break. Social media would be terrifying. Instead of Twitter, we'd have tabula, stone tablets where you carve your thoughts for public display. The trolls are actual trolls living under bridges. Viral challenges involve dangerous stunts in the Colosseum. And don't even think about posting anything critical of the emperor unless you want a surprise visit from the Praetorian Guard. Dating would follow strict Roman norms. Your father still arranges your marriage, but now he checks your potential spouse's social credit score first. Romance languages take on new meaning when a love poem could literally get you exiled if it offends the wrong person. And that, no touching before marriage, rule comes with actual legal consequences. Food culture would be interesting. The empire never discovered tomatoes or potatoes, so pizza is just flatbread with olive oil. McDonald's serves garum burgers, that's fermented fish sauce, by the way. And the only acceptable wine is whatever comes from the emperor's personal vineyards. Yet despite all this, people would adapt. Humans always do. We'd find ways to game the system, skirt the rules, and make the best of living in a world that never moved on from its imperial glory days. Because that's the secret about empires, they don't collapse because of barbarians or economics. They collapse because people get tired of living in them. The Roman political machine would be a terrifying beast after 2,000 years of refinement. Elections still happen. They're just completely meaningless. Senators go through the motions of democracy while the real power stays with whichever general currently controls the Praetorian Guard. The campaign slogan, "Bread and circuses," never went out of style. It just got focus group tested into economic stimulus and entertainment tax credits. The military-industrial complex makes America's look tame. Legionnaires retire after 25 years with full pensions and a plot of conquered land. The Navy maintains bases on every continent, including Antarctica, just in case penguins get ideas. And the Air Force flies eagle-shaped drones that drop javelins instead of missiles. Provincial governance never improved. Governors are still appointed based on who owes the emperor favors. Tax collection involves armed soldiers and creative accounting. And infrastructure projects get announced with great fanfare, then quietly forgotten when the money disappears into some bureaucrat's villa fund. The civil service exam is famously impossible. 12 days of testing on everything from aqueduct maintenance to proper goat sacrifice techniques. Most applicants just bribe the proctors instead. Those who don't have to start as scribes copying laws onto scrolls by hand until their fingers bleed. Lawmaking combines ancient tradition with modern gridlock. Passing anything requires favorable omens, a unanimous Senate vote, and the emperor's mistress's approval. Most legislation gets stuck in committee for decades until everyone forgets about it. The legal code is so bloated even the gods don't understand it. The imperial cult never went away, it just incorporated PR techniques. The current emperor's face appears on coins, stamps, and those weird TV test patterns at 3 a.m. Schoolchildren start each day chanting loyalty oaths. And dissenters get re-educated at comfortable resorts in Sicily. Foreign policy operates on simple principles. 1. If you're weak, we conquer you. 2. If you're strong, we bribe your generals. 3. If you're really strong, we call you ally and wait for you to collapse. The intelligence service employs more spies than the empire has citizens. Their methods range from intercepted scrolls to hacking digital tablets. Their motto: we always know who didn't sacrifice to Jupiter. Political scandals follow ancient patterns but with modern twists. That senator caught with an underage courtesan. He'll claim it was traditional Roman values. The embezzlement scheme involving gladiator sponsorships. Blamed on Greek accountants. The emperor's third divorce this year. Explained away as ensuring dynastic stability. Yet despite the corruption, the system persists. Why? Because after 2,000 years, everyone knows the rules. The bribes have standardized rates. The backstabbing follows predictable cycles. And the common people know better than to expect anything to actually change. Because that's the secret of eternal empires, they're not built on ideals. They're built on everyone being too tired to imagine alternatives. Roman pop culture would be a bizarre mix of ancient and modern. Gladiator matches are now pay-per-view events with sponsorship from olive oil companies. The most popular show is Real Housewives of Capua, following the dramatic lives of wealthy matrons and their slave entourages. Latin pop music features lyres auto-tuned over drum machines, with lyrics about love, war, and proper sacrifice techniques. The entertainment industry runs on imperial subsidies and bloodsport. Movie theaters double as small arenas. Films get rated by how many audience members get mauled by lions during screenings. Broadway produces endless remakes of plottless comedies with contemporary political references. And the music charts are dominated by barred boy bands singing odes to the emperor's greatness. Fashion never moved beyond the toga as formal wear. Modern attempts to update the look just add pockets and moisture-wicking fabric. Business casual means a tunic with your company's logo embroidered in gold thread. And the sandal industry remains strong despite countless podiatrist warnings about arch support. Sports are as brutal as ever. The Olympics still feature nude competitors, though now with better camera angles. Football, the real kind, where you use your feet, never caught on because it's too Greek. Instead, the empire obsesses over chariot racing, NASCAR with more whips and occasional trampling deaths. Social media exists on wax tablets that constantly need reheating. Influencers build followings by staging elaborate triumphs for their pet cats. Viral trends include recreating famous battles with breadsticks and challenging priests to interpret your tweets as omens. The most followed account belongs to the emperor's favorite horse. Dating apps use complex algorithms to match your astrological sign with potential partners' family connections. First dates often involve chaperones and dowry negotiations. The term ghosting takes on literal meaning when displeased suitors hire Vestal virgins to curse their exes. Food trends come and go, but garum fermented fish sauce remains on everything. The Michelin Guide rates restaurants based on how many exotic animals they serve. Fast food chains offer authentic Roman cuisine. Think McPulse lentil burgers and Caesar salad, the actual dish Julius liked, not that wimpy lettuce version. Art stagnated around the 3rd century and never recovered. Museums display endless variations of emperor-looking heroic statues. Modern artists risk exile for experimenting with new styles. The most avant-garde work you'll see is a mosaic that slightly resembles a face if you squint. Literature suffers under imperial censors. Bestsellers include 50 Shades of Purple, about senatorial fashion, and self-help scrolls like The 7 Habits of Highly Effective Citizens. The poetry scene consists entirely of odes to the current emperor's military victories, real or imagined. Yet despite the cultural stagnation, people find ways to create meaning. Underground theaters perform satires where the emperor is played by a chicken. Graffiti artists sneak subversive messages into temple murals. And every generation rediscovers that one Catullus poem about lesbians and pretends it's deep philosophy. Because even in an eternal empire, the human spirit refuses to be fully domesticated. Education in the eternal empire remains frozen in time like a particularly boring statue of Minerva. The school day starts before dawn because that's how our ancestors did it, and features equal parts rote memorization and corporal punishment. Forget STEM. The curriculum focuses on rhetoric, geometry, and proper emperor worship techniques. Higher education is a joke unless you're patrician. The academy in Athens still teaches Plato's exact same lectures word for word. Medical schools use Galen's 1800-year-old textbooks unironically. Law students spend 7 years memorizing scrolls that begin with, whereas in the 3rd century. The only thriving department is military engineering. Those siege weapons won't build themselves. Science progressed at a snail's pace. The empire never moved past the four humors theory of medicine. Astronomy consists of tracking omens in bird flights. Chemistry stopped at mix things and see what happens. The greatest scientific breakthrough of the last century. Discovering you can make garum faster by leaving the fish in the sun longer. Technology developed along bizarrely specific lines. The empire has perfect indoor plumbing but no electricity because fire is good enough. Roads are engineering marvels, yet wagons still use the same wheel design from 300 BC. The military has precision ballistae that can hit a target a mile away, but doctors still believe leeches cure headaches. The imperial research budget goes to 1. Better siege engines. 2. More durable toga fabrics. 3. Finding new places to put arches. Innovation is actively discouraged. That engineer who invented a steam engine, exiled for attempting to undermine traditional labor practices. The alchemist who discovered gunpowder, executed for wasting saltpeter that could season food. Progress happens only if it makes the emperor look good or helps conquer new territories. Academic freedom doesn't exist. Historians must prove Rome has always been perfect. Philosophers can question anything except imperial authority. Scientists face heresy charges if their findings contradict official doctrine. The most dangerous job in the empire. Being the guy who points out the aqueduct math doesn't add up. Yet somehow, learning persists in dark corners. Underground schools teach forbidden knowledge like, the earth might be round, and, maybe democracy wasn't that bad. Secret libraries preserve works by thinkers the empire tried to erase. And every generation produces a few brave souls who ask, what if we tried something new? Before getting swiftly silenced. Because that's the paradox of eternal empires. They can freeze society in amber, but they can't extinguish human curiosity completely. The flame flickers low, but it never quite goes out. Healthcare in the eternal empire operates on one simple principle. If you survive treatment, the gods must favor you. The average physician's toolkit contains leeches, a rusty scalpel, and a scroll of Galen's writings to hit patients with when they complain. Hospitals are just temples with better drainage. The emergency room triage system. 1. Citizens with connections. 2. Regular citizens. 3. Wealthy non-citizens. 4. Everyone else gets the prayer and herbs package. Modern medicine never developed because Hippocrates knew best. Antibiotics are considered witchcraft, anesthesia is, just bite this leather strap, and mental health care consists of telling patients to stop being so Greek about everything. The pharmaceutical industry thrives on selling ground-up tiger bones for vitality, mercury elixirs for that glowing complexion, sacred spring water now with 5% actual spring water. Medical licensing requires 10 years of apprenticeship and passing a test where you diagnose the emperor's imaginary ailments without offending him. Most doctors supplement their income by selling poison to rich wives, purely for research purposes, of course. Public health initiatives focus on visible symptoms rather than causes. That malaria outbreak, clearly bad air from swamps, never mind the mosquitoes. The obesity epidemic among patricians. Too many banquets, not the lead in their wine. The solution to everything is either more bloodletting or build another bathhouse. Dentistry remains firmly in the Dark Ages. Tooth extraction is the standard treatment for everything from cavities to bad breath. The wealthy get ivory implants that inevitably rot and give them permanent septicemia. Toothpaste contains actual pumice stone because, if it's good enough for cleaning pots. Mental health treatment combines the worst of ancient and modern ideas. Depression, more exercise at the baths. Anxiety, a nice phlebotomy to balance your humors. Actual therapy involves confessing your problems to a priest who then sells your secrets to the government. Yet despite the barbaric practices, Romans live surprisingly long lives, if they survive childhood. The secret, so much walking, olive oil, and wine that even terrible medicine can't completely undo the benefits. That and constantly fearing the gods keeps their stress levels in check. Because in the Eternal Empire, healthcare isn't about curing, it's about maintaining just enough workers to keep building those damn aqueducts. Transportation in the Eternal Empire never evolved past, throw more slaves at the problem. The famed Roman roads now support everything from electric chariots to armored SUVs, all stuck in the same traffic jams Caesar faced. The morning commute involves dodging potholes last repaired by Marcus Aurelius' administration. Public transit is a nightmare. The subway runs through original aqueduct tunnels that frequently flood when it rains. Buses are just repurposed slave-powered litters with Wi-Fi. And don't get me started on air travel. Imperial Airlines still use the "if the gods will it, we shall arrive" safety protocol. The shipping industry runs on tradition and corruption. Cargo ships follow the same Mediterranean routes they did 2,000 years ago, just with slightly better GPS. Dockworkers still take their cuts of incoming goods, though now it's called a processing fee. The most reliable delivery method remains: pay a legionnaire to carry it. Urban planning never advanced beyond add more columns. Cities sprawl in concentric circles from the original forums, creating nightmarish bottlenecks. Zoning laws were last updated when Nero rebuilt Rome, leading to bakeries next to funeral homes next to brothels. The only green spaces are temples where you can sacrifice for better parking spots. Infrastructure projects follow imperial whims rather than actual need. That 20-lane highway to the Emperor's summer villa, completed in 6 months. The bridge your town has needed for decades. Under consideration, since the Punic Wars. Construction crews work around the clock, mostly repairing things that should have been replaced centuries ago. The postal service remains surprisingly efficient, if you ignore the occasional lost scroll or intercepted love letter ending up in the wrong hands. Overnight delivery means, by horseback before dawn. Tracking numbers are just slaves shouting updates across provinces. And express mail requires sacrificing a goat to Mercury first. Traffic laws are enforced with Roman efficiency. Speeding tickets come with public floggings. DUI means being chained to your chariot for a month. And parking violations. Let's just say the impound lot is also a gladiator training ground. Yet despite the chaos, the system somehow functions. Goods move, people travel, the empire endures. Because when you've been doing something the same way for millennia, even inefficiency becomes a kind of perfection. Religion in the eternal empire never evolved beyond sacrifice enough animals and maybe the gods won't smite us today. The imperial cult dominates daily life. Every home has a shrine where families pray to the current emperor's likeness before breakfast. Failure to maintain your household gods results in social ostracism and worse tax rates. The pantheon expanded to include some modern additions. The god of electricity, Jovis Volticus, and goddess of bureaucracy, Paperina, now sit alongside traditional deities. The most popular is still Fortuna, because nothing says Roman like blind luck determining your fate. Temples double as banks, courthouses, and in some cases, very fancy brothels. Religious ceremonies follow strict traditions. The annual festival of Jupiter involves sacrificing a bull, then serving it at a banquet where senators try not to think about food poisoning. Vestal virgins still tend the sacred flame, though now they also run a popular baking show on imperial television. Augurs read omens in everything from bird flights to stock market trends. Christianity never took root beyond a minor cult. There, turn the other cheek, philosophy didn't play well in an empire built on stabbing first. The few remaining Christians meet in catacombs, whispering sermons about a Messiah who definitely isn't coming back to save them anytime soon. Foreign religions are tolerated if they pay enough taxes. The Egyptian cult of Isis runs lucrative afterlife insurance schemes. Mithraism remains popular with soldiers who enjoy secret handshakes and cave parties. And the cult of Dionysus basically operates as the empire's largest wine club with occasional orgies. Superstition permeates every aspect of life. Businesses consult haruspices before mergers. Generals won't march without favorable omens. Even the stock market pauses for auguries every noon. The imperial meteorologist is actually just a priest who interprets sheep entrails to predict rain. Yet despite the pageantry, actual faith is hard to find. Most citizens go through the motions while quietly believing in nothing. The gods are just another bureaucracy to navigate, the temple's another place to network. Religion isn't about spirituality, it's about keeping up appearances and not getting reported to the authorities. Because in the eternal empire, the only true god is power. And its high priest sits on a throne in Rome, demanding sacrifices of gold and blood in equal measure. Art in the eternal empire remains frozen in classical styles, because innovation is just a fancy word for Greek decadence. Sculptures still depict emperors with perfect abs and heroic scowls, despite most rulers being doughy bureaucrats. The official state art academy rejects any work that doesn't glorify Rome, which is why every painting looks like a propaganda poster with more laurel wreaths. Literature consists mainly of 1. Epic poems about military victories, real or imagined. 2. Philosophical dialogues that all conclude, the emperor knows best. 3. Erotic scrolls passed under tables at dinner parties. The publishing industry runs on imperial patronage and fear. That controversial novel about a dystopian Rome, suddenly out of print after its author, voluntarily, joined a mining expedition. Bestsellers include 50 Shades of Purple, senatorial romance, and self-help classics like Meditations for the Modern Slave. Music never progressed beyond lyres and pan flutes. The imperial anthem plays before every public event, including executions. Pop songs all sound the same because using more than 3 notes is considered Eastern corruption. The hottest music festival is Ludi Rock'em, where aging senators pretend to enjoy peasant folk songs. Theater is state-controlled and painfully dull. Every tragedy ends with a moral about obedience. Comedies rely on the same stock characters: the clever slave, the drunk patrician, and the Vestal virgin who's definitely not flirting with you. Experimental plays get shut down faster than you can say, "Crucify the cast." Television is just gladiator matches with commercials. The most popular shows include Who Wants to Be a Million Sestertius Winner, Real Housewives of the Palatine Hill, The Coliseum Games, think American Idol but with more blood. Fashion remains stubbornly antiquated. Togas are mandatory for formal events, despite being absurdly impractical. The current trend is Retro Republic, tunics so short they'd make Cato blush. Footwear choices are sandals or more sandals. The Textile Guild suppresses any fabric innovation that might threaten the wool monopoly. Cuisine never moved beyond garum on everything. Fine dining involves 20 courses of stuffed dormice and roasted peacock. Fast food is just bread, olives, and questionable sausage from street vendors. The emperor banned forks as effeminate Eastern nonsense, so formal dinners are messy affairs where the wine flows as freely as the vomit. Yet beneath the official culture, rebellion simmers. Underground theaters perform satires where the emperor is played by a trained monkey. Graffiti artists sneak subversive messages into mosaics. And every generation rediscovers that one Catullus poem about lesbians and treats it like revolutionary literature. Because even in an eternal empire, the human spirit refuses to be fully domesticated. Art finds a way, even if that way is scribbled in the margins of approved scrolls, whispered in dark taverns, or carved into the walls of latrines where no censor bothers to look. After 2 millennia of unbroken rule, the cracks in the eternal empire are finally showing. The latest emperor is a 12-year-old figurehead controlled by the Praetorian Guard. The provinces are restless, the treasury is empty, and the only thing holding everything together is collective denial. Dissent simmers beneath marble floors. Underground philosophers whisper about democracy. Secret societies preserve forbidden knowledge. Even some senators quietly wonder if the system has outlived its usefulness. But no one dares speak openly. The punishment for treason remains crucifixion, now with optional live streaming. The empire survives through sheer inertia. The roads still function, the aqueducts still flow, and the games still distract the masses. But the rot is everywhere. In the hollow-eyed slaves, in the bribed officials, in the empty rituals performed by priests who stopped believing centuries ago. Yet change is coming, whether Rome wants it or not. New ideas seep in from unconquered lands. Technologies the empire can't control. And most dangerous of all, people beginning to imagine alternatives. The empire will fall. Not to barbarians or economic collapse, but to something far more subversive. The realization that nothing lasts forever. That even eternal Rome is just one chapter in humanity's story. And that the future belongs to those brave enough to write the next page. If this alternate history hasn't made you sacrifice a goat in gratitude. 1. Chisel your subscription into the nearest stone tablet. 2. Send smoke signals. Or just leave a comment. 3. Share this scroll with other potential rebels. This has been What If Horizons, the podcast that topples empires so you don't have to. Until next time, remember, all empires fall. Make sure you're not still clapping when the curtain drops.